It's a very good morning and a warm welcome. This is Global Report, a weekly program that looks into regional and international news. I am Jerome Peresu. Now today we cast the spotlight on US President Donald Trump's racist remarks to fellow Congresswomen and Jacob Zuma's appearance in the Zondo state capture. But first, the stories making the headlines.
Oil prices fell on Monday as investors digested news that Iranian President Hassan Rouhani said Sunday the country was ready to hold negotiations with the United States if Washington lifts sanctions against Tehran. The West Texas Intermediate for August delivery decreased $0.63 to settle at $59.58 a barrel on the New York Mercantile Exchange, while Brent crude for September delivery declined $0.24 to close at $66.48 a barrel on the London ICE Futures Exchange. Beside the production of energy companies alongside U.S. Gulf of Mexico began to resume after Tropical Storm Barry lifting concern over supply reduction. A three-day conference was held in Cairo, capital of Egypt, to mediate talks between various Libyan factions. The conference came on the sideline of the one-week meeting sponsored by Cairo to bring different parties from east, west, and south of Libya for talks held by the Egyptian National Committee on Libyan Affairs. The talks were part of a series of meetings held by the committee to achieve stability and unity of the Libyan army. The Egyptian parliament has opened its doors to welcome Libyan parliamentarians since Khalifa Haftar, Libyan American military officer and the head of the Libyan National Army, INA, launched his military offensive against Tripoli. The Libyan parliament has become more divided. Some 60 members of parliament boycotted the House of Representatives. Madagascar's national football stars arrived home from Egypt to a big official welcome, during which they were given the rank of Knight of the Malagasy National Order. The team was also given a cash award at the Lavoloha State Palace in the capital, Antananarivo. Before the official reception, videos showed hundreds of people lining the streets of the city to cheer on the national heroes. The AFCON debutants became one of the talking points of the competition after beating Nigeria 2-0 and topping their first round group. They knocked out the Democratic Republic of Congo in the second round but lost to Tunisia in the quarterfinal, failing to a 3-0 thumping. The president had traveled to Egypt for the team's second round tie and said they will come back stronger after they exited. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has said that the current outbreak of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, is deadlier among under 5 children than ever before. This was said by UNICEF spokeswoman Maxime Mercado in Geneva during a briefing journalists on the Ebola situation in northeast DRC, which began last August. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, to date, there have been more than 2,500 cases of infections and nearly 1,607 people have died in the provinces of Ituri and North Kivu. Citing July 7 data, Ms. Mercado said that there have been 750 infections among children, which represents 31% of total cases as compared with about 20% in the previous outbreak. The latest data shows that the case fatality ratio was 77% among the under 5 group. The World Health Organization WHO spokeswoman Fadela Chaib confirmed that an emergency meeting on the DRC outbreak will take place on Wednesday afternoon in Geneva. More than 161,000 people have received vaccinations, 140,000 contacts have been traced, and 71 million travelers have been screened at a cost of $250 million and counting. Algeria is set to take on Senegal in Friday's AFCON final. It will be the second time they have faced off in the competition, with soccer stars from English Premier League present in both teams. Sadio Mane from Liverpool playing for Senegal and Riyad Mahrez from Manchester City Football Club playing for Algeria.
You are watching Global Report, but we do take a short commercial break. So very good morning. You are watching Global Report and welcome back to the second segment. Now, Donald Trump's utterances, is this good politics or not for the Republicans, considering that Donald President is going for elections? Now, the politicians, public figures and activists in the United States and elsewhere have rallied behind Congresswoman Ilhan Omar as President Donald Trump stepped up attacks against her and other Democratic legislators of color.
The four United States Congress women attacked by United States President Donald Trump in tweets widely called racist have dismissed his remarks as a distraction. Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayan Presley, and Rashida Tlaib urged the U.S. people not to take the bell. The women called for the impeachment of Donald Trump and insisted that healthcare, gun violence, and in particular detention of migrants on the U.S. border with Mexico should be in focus. Mr. Trump had suggested the four women, all U.S. citizens, can leave. He has defended his comments and denied allegations of racism. On Tuesday, he kept up his Twitter attack on the women, accusing them of saying filthy and hate-laced things. The president did not explicitly name the women in his initial Twitter tirade on Sunday, but the context made a clear link to the four Democratic women who are known as the Squad. Three of the women were born in the United States, and one, Ms. Omar, was born in Somalia but came to the United States as a child. The leaders of several U.S. allies have come out against the president. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said she completely and utterly disagreed with Mr. Trump, while Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau similarly denounced the comments.
And joining me in the studio today is none other than Mongie Ngwenya, an international relations expert who will help us look at some of the issues on the program. Welcome to the program, Mongie Ngwenya.
Welcome. Thank you, Jerome.
Now, Mr. Ngwenya, now the USA, rather, can be said to be architects of human rights and advocates against racism and safe keep of immigrants. Can you strongly say, in your view, that Donald Trump is representing the interests of the nationals of America?
Okay, thank you very much, Jerome, for this opportunity. But maybe before I address your question on whether or not Donald Trump is representing the interests of the Americans currently, it is very critical for me to first actually look at how has the U.S. tried to treat the issues of human rights. Of course, the U.S. wants to appear in the world or in America itself as the proponents of democracy and human rights, but in actual fact, for those outside America and especially from Africa, we can note that the US is not necessarily the proponents or the good practitioners of democracy. Why? Because we've seen them actually killing a lot of people, especially in Libya. In 2011, in the guise of trying to overthrow Gaddafi, saying that they want to put democracy. Also, we see them operations they're operating currently in the Middle East, particularly in Syria and Iraq and so forth, and most people are dying there. So we cannot actually say that those are democratic practices in themselves. So the US, of course, it might be trying to appear as an architect of democracy, but in actual fact, in my view, I don't think so. And what is coming to your question, what is being done currently by Donald Trump is revealing the current or the true colors of the United States of America. That Donald Trump is not actually apologetic about the American supremacist stance. That is actually, most of the Americans, they know that those things actually exist, that the Americans are, they want to be superior every time. So previously, the previous governments have been trying to keep this thing under cover, but Donald Trump is not apologetic about it and is keen to express it as it is. So I don't think Donald Trump is representing what has been believed for America. So he's actually taking another stance, but which in my view is giving the true and the correct image of the United States of America.
It has been noted the House of Democrats have come strongly and agreed that Trump is a mere racist. Is this good politics for the Republicans?
Yeah, you know, politics is something that does not have a formula, you see. So no one can say that if you add one and one can come two in politics. But politics is being practiced in such a way that one actually studies the situation and looks at the factors that are presented before him or her at a particular moment and see which ones might work for the benefits of the person. So currently, I think Donald Trump has looked at the situation in America and has seen that the race issue is something that is there and it exists. So it's something that has been put behind the doors and people trying to ignore it. So Donald Trump has said no. Has seen that there is some kindling racial relations that has thrown them into the match. So now it's up to the Americans to decide. But I think for Donald Trump, it's good politics because he has actually said it that some of the supporters are actually supporting him, they're understanding him. Though it's racism, but politically I think he might be doing good for political reasons. Of course, in the view of the public, I think it's not good, but politically I support, and I think Donald Trump is...
I'm going to hold your thought there. Is he perhaps trying to say, or trying to get the support of the white supremacists?
Yeah, exactly. That's my view. Because it is true that the US is predominantly a white, white populated nation. So he's trying to get the support of the white supremacists. And they exist and they're supporting him. If you have seen some of the rallies that he had recently, people chanting that you can send them back those 4 women. So I think they're actually resonating with him.
Yeah, considering also that they've also supported him on Twitter.
Yes, exactly.
In so many ways.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, look, going forward, looking at the Congresswomen, known as the Squad, does Donald Trump have the right to actually ask them to leave? Is that proper? Is that proper, considering that these 3 of them are American, were born in America?
Yeah.
Does he have the right to actually?
Yeah, I think in my view, having the right is not necessarily what Donald Trump is aiming at. You might talk about legal rights to chase somebody away of a nation, which is actually legally incorrect and is not true and is not something that might be said to be correct or good politics per se, to chase somebody away. So legally, it's not. It doesn't have it right. But I think politically, it's just making some political statements, just like any political figure. So if you make a political statement, it's a political statement and it must be treated as such. I don't think Donald Trump is necessarily meaning it as he's saying, but he's actually expressing some of his feelings within that he's frustrated by maybe the treatment that is, or the responses that he's getting from Democrats. So he's trying to express the feelings in a manner that is saying, I don't care whether you go back or you are here or not.
But how does that help his campaign? He's going back. He's going back to re-election.
Yes.
How does that help his campaign?
I think
if he's standing on, if his one foot is here, the other leg is there, he's not positioned. Shouldn't he be positioned in terms of his policies?
Yeah. I think it will help to a particular extent because if you look at the issue of race, okay, as I said earlier, the issue of race is a political factor.
Okay.
Just like tribalism, like those are the issues that you cannot ignore. So it's up to you whether you ignore them and let the society decides, or you put them on the floor so that the society start to debate about it. Currently, the people are debating about racism and so forth. And I think now what Trump has done is a political strategy. He has given the Democrats something to talk about and to focus on. So now they are trying to fight Trump, so name calling him as a racist and so forth. And if you name call somebody, it's more like you are trying to decampaign a person, but in the process of decampaigning a person, you might be giving him some kind of popularity. So everyone now is talking about Trump. So the attention has been shifted from all other candidates, but Trump is someone who is making headlines, which is politically correct for me. I think so.
You think it's politically correct?
Yeah.
Now, Donald Trump, can we conclude that he's a supremacist? White extremist, if you want to call it, basing on his past actions since getting into office. I mean, he's been quoted as saying that the former Barack Obama was not born in America, and because he was not born in America, he's not credible to stand for presidency.
Yeah, I think that one is something that is open and clear for anyone to see. It's a public secret that Donald Trump is really a supremacist, a white supremacist and extremist. So he's a proud white person. So I think for me, what we are saying is correct. Donald Trump is a white supremacist. What he's actually been saying about the Muslims, about building a wall in the Mexican city, in the Mexican border and so forth. So those are the actions that are showing that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, and he's actually unapologetic about it, and he's actually keen to take the fight to as far as he wants.
Mongie, I'm going to have to hold you there as we take a short commercial break. You are watching Global Report, where we look at the regional and international news. Stay tuned. More coming up. Welcome back to the third and final segment, and you are watching Global Report, a platform where we showcase regional and international news. I am Jerome Peresu, and we have in the studio Mongie Ngwenya to showcase and discuss matters on the following subject.
South African former President Jacob Zuma says he and his family received death threats after his testimony at an inquiry into corruption under his rule. He made the revelations today while still appearing for the second day before South Africa's Commission of Inquiry into State Capture. He told the judge-led inquiry on Tuesday that the threats had followed his testimony yesterday. In the earlier testimony, he said he had been the target of assassination attempts in the past and that the allegations were part of a decades-long conspiracy to remove him from the political scene. Jacob Zuma was forced from office in early 2018 amid widespread claims of cronyism and abuse of power, which he denies. The inquiry is investigating allegations that Mr. Zuma oversaw a web of corruption during his term in office. The allegations focus on his relationship with the controversial Gupta family, which was accused of influencing cabinet appointments and winning lucrative state tenders through corruption. He has also been accused of taking bribes from logistics firm Bosasa, run by Watson family. They all deny allegations of wrongdoing.
Now, to discuss more of this, we have with us in the studio Mongie Ngwenya. Mongie,
Okay.
we continue with our subject on the Zuma issue.
Okay.
Now, looking at the ongoing Zondo Commission state capture in South Africa, what is state capture?
Okay, I think state capture is a system, or it's a situation whereby the government institutions, even the government itself, is actually reporting to a particular syndicate group that is having a serious influence in the running of the state, or even the appointments of government officials. So it's having a serious stake, a very important stake in the government, but it's not necessarily the formal government. So it's more like a pseudo government, or it's something like a shadow government that is existing outside of the legal and the formal government institutions.
Now, the former South African president, Jacob Zuma, is under investigation for corrupt practices in office, allegations in connection with the Guptas failing to defend himself, or rather guilty following a story that somehow went viral, and there's negative talk over that issue. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, I think Jacob Zuma is actually, there have been allegations that he has been engaged in some corruption, and he has been having some links with the Gupta family. So those have been allegations. Even those who have testified before him, they have actually painted some bad image on Jacob Zuma. So when he came before the commission to testify his story, I don't think it is good for us to term him as failing to defend himself. I think Zuma is fighting a political fight. So what he's doing now, Zuma is a strategy. So Zuma is saying that if you see it, Zuma is played a victim. So he's saying that he's one who is being fought, and the commission is set to try and paint Zuma and actually fight his political career and actually end it. So I think Zuma is studied it.
Could I interject?
Okay.
His own sons, or one of his sons, is actually employed by the Guptas, was employed by the Guptas, and is still doing business with the Guptas. How do you justify that?
Yeah, I think Zuma has actually had the relations with the Gupta family back, I think, in the early 2000s. I think the Gupta family came in South Africa in the early 1990s. So when they came as Zuma, they became friends with Zuma even before he became the president of South Africa. Tutuzane Zuma, the son of Zuma,
is he not part of this organization?
He's actually
because
working
he's
for
been
them.
known. He's been known to be firing, to even fire certain employees of that company. Is he not part of this business structure?
I cannot necessarily say, because I'm not in the position to say. I'm not sure. But in my view, I think they are just maybe they're just friends, because he's a worker there. Even the daughter of Zuma, Tutuzile Zuma, is actually working for the Gupta family. So I'm not in a position to say whether or not Tutuzane Zuma is part of the Guptas in itself. But for now, I think it's good for us to term him as an employee of them. But going back to the issue of Zuma and state capture, Zuma has realized, I think, that the politics is actually fighting him. So this is a do or die situation. Like any political figure, you will know that if you are being fought, you must also fight back and stand your ground. Zuma is not a general citizen in South Africa. He's a former president. So, and he's got some loyalists even within South Africa, and particularly within the ANC, even top political figures within the big wigs of ANC. Zuma has still got some support from them. You know that he just left office last year, so he still have got some influence. So he knows that whatever that has been doing Zuma while in office, is not that he was doing it alone. There are a lot of people that are there. So he has actually been threatening to expose them. He knows very well that if he does that, maybe he can emerge as a winner. Here is a do or die, either wins or lose.
Is it not just trying to just cover his back? Is it not just putting ice on the cake? Is it not just trying to do that?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. He's trying, of course, to clean himself, but at the same time, standing his ground as a political. What I actually respect about Zuma is an expert in terms of politics and how to play politics as politics, not the politics of the political, whereby you want to make people happy and so forth, which is actually most people believe that politics is about that. No, politics is about it's a game. So it's more like chess. So Zuma can sacrifice some of his friends in terms of trying to get his way away of all this mess. So I think
it's been said, just to continue there, it's been said that he's been quoted as saying that state capture is political propaganda. These are words from Jacob Zuma himself. What's your view on that? Okay,
yeah. State capture is a reality in South Africa. It's something that is there. It exists. The Gupta family is having a serious influence within the government. Actually, it had, so to say. I don't know even if now they are still having, but I think if there is a family or if there is a cartel that is controlling a state, it cannot just seize its influence as soon as the particular person who allowed them into the system has gone. So that what Zuma just did. So I think even now they are still there. But it is also true that that might be a political propaganda, because people have been, especially the opposition parties, the DA and the EFF, they used that as a way of campaigning or decampaigning Zuma. So it's more like it's true. It's a political propaganda. I think Zuma is correct there, though it is true that state capture is existing. So, but the level at which that has been taken by the political figures within South African political culture is now it's overrated to say that. So it actually can qualify as a political propaganda, but the reality is that he
is. I'm going to interject there again. Okay. I'm trying to find an understanding, so we arrive at the same platform.
Okay.
ANC, he is a member of the ANC, an influential member of the ANC. What is the impact of those allegations against that party, against the position? What is the impact of that?
Yeah,
On the party, the ANC.
Oh, yeah, I think this ongoing commission and the testimonies that are being put forward by the people are having or are going to have serious implications within the party. I think if the ANC do not read the politics very correct currently, I think it might actually lead to a split within the ANC. Because what Zuma is now going to do, actually expecting, I think it's appearing again today, yesterday and on Friday. So I think Zuma, what he's going to do is going to expose some of the ANC members that were actually working with him. So if he does that, so it's either some of the ANC members will start to support Zuma and try to link him with the good things that he's been doing within the office, and because they've been seeing that the politics now are shifting, because they will be shifting against them. So the best way to remain is actually to support Zuma and try to lower the politics and actually lower the temperatures within the politics of South Africa.
Do you believe that the South African government is actually doing something that needs to be done in a lot of these African countries where people are taken to book and are accountable for certain things that...
Yeah, I think what has been done by the South African government is actually, it has set a record that no one is above the law. The rule of law is actually at work currently in South Africa, that the former president, I think, is happening for the first time, if my mind serves me well, that a former president can appear before the courts or before the legal frameworks in trying to be held accountable of whatever that he's been doing. I think it's setting a very good record for African countries. I think they must follow that and so forth. So democratically and in terms of rule of law, I think that's a good stance that is being taken by South African government.
Thank you very much for coming to our show, Mongie.
Okay. Thanks, Jerome.
This is Global Report, a platform where we showcase and discuss issues to do with regional and international news. I am Jerome Peresu from myself and the team behind the scenes. It's a good morning.